Hello, everybody. I wanted to go over what Chine-Colle is for an option that all virtual students have when it comes to our printmaking project. In class, if you were here on the A or B cohorts, you would be doing a color reduction process in which you print, you carve, you print, you carve, you print, you carve, you print. Uh, and because you kind of need a press for that, I decided that I'll give the option of doing this Chine-Colle process instead that I learned in college. And what it is, we're going to kind of just watch a brief video muted so I can kind of talk about it. The same thing is that you are going to come up with a design, and it needs to be a complex design because of the amount of time in class my A and B cohorts are doing. Theirs are not going to be as intense as yours should because you're going to be spending a lot more time on the design as a black and white print, and then doing the Chine-Colle process either at home or coming in for 2 nights to be able to kind of play around with gluing and printing. I feel like you can still print at your house with this technique. I don't think your print will be as clean because you typically need a lot of pressure on a print to really get a nice solid black. I would not downgrade you on that if it is a little speckly. If it's really speckly, I would, because then that gets a little more into you're not doing the process correct. But what is Chine-Colle? So this is an artist. Awesome beard. He talks about it. Now he's going to do his on um, it's called intaglio process, and what an intaglio is just kind of a dry point kind of thing. So I'm actually going to let him talk for a minute, I believe.
And it is a plate with a tawny frog mouth on it, which is a bird in Australia, which I have drawn up. And I want to do the eyes a colour. I'm tracing around the eyes here on a piece of tissue paper.
Okay, so he is drawing out because he on his design he wanted to make the eyes a color. And in a year two student, when you do a process like this, we call it dry point because it's on plastic instead, you're going to hand color. For drawing one, for just the virtual students, you'll do this process. So you need to decide on your design, and I want you to do 5 of these kind of thing. And you're going to decide on this design where those colors are going to be at. Now, in your worksheet that I'm working on right now, there are examples in here. For instance, this one is, and one of them can be, very abstract. And this is tissue paper, where if you have one piece of tissue paper over top of another, it does get darker. So if you want to kind of keep one a little more abstract, that's fine. This is a great example of something I would expect one of your Chine-Colles to look like after you've done something maybe like this, where you just take the concept of just taking, one color, a simple shape, gluing it, putting glue in the back of it, which he'll show you, and then having that color. Um, this one they're getting set up for it. They're just kind of playing around with what they want to put on top of it. And this one's cool because it was probably printed, on some sort of a, very ornamental paper. And then the bird itself, which was the part that you would be cutting out and you'd be getting this thing with, was probably done on white paper. So they probably cut the white paper out and then put that on there instead. So that was kind of a fun way of doing it, but this is ultimately what one of your designs should look like. Let's kind of go back and listen to this guy.
If you're going to do little spots like this, you can stuff it up a lot. Normally in Chine-Colle, you would do probably one big square block of colour for the whole plate. Now make sure those eyes fit. Now, as normal intaglio printmaking goes,
Okay, now you're not going to be soaking water. That's because on this technique, water is sitting inside of a groove. Ink is sitting inside of a groove, and the water helps pull it out. Ours is not like that, so I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. But the same technique is correct. You're going to ink up your piece, and then you're going to put it on. So here we're going to kind of watch this guy here.
Now comes the tricky bit. I'm putting a little bit of glue on each one of these bits of
And
tissue
you'll
paper.
use like a stick glue.
Very, very carefully putting it on the plate, but glue side up. So the glue's facing up, and it's sort of really hard. So when we put the paper down, the glue will stick to the paper.
And if you do that wrong, it
into
goes
the
off
press
wrong.
it goes.
And with the press, you'll be using like a wooden spoon or something you can do to really rub that down hard, unless you're going to come here and do it on an open art room night.
Nice, big, expensive press.
Nice press.
And out the other side, we'll have a look. And hopefully, if this has worked. A bit sticky. Yep, looks like it has worked. Beauty. So you
cool.
have a look at that. Basically, it looks like I've hand colored it.
So you can really see how awesome this technique is. This is one of my favorite techniques in college when I took printmaking, because you can have so many variations with it. Now they stress, and I somewhat agree with it, that the paper should be thinner. I mean, I wouldn't use something thick like a cardstock on this, but you know, if you have like printer paper that's colored, I've used newspaper in the past. Like if I wanted to try to incorporate something with text. The thing is with newspaper is it's so heavily recycled, is that newspaper will yellow over time. Over time is like in a few months, kind of thing, because that's just the way recycled paper is. So you got to kind of figure out what you got. I mean, I have a selection of papers here if you want to stop in and just kind of see what I have, kind of thing. Otherwise, if you hop over to Walmart or whatever, you can find your own box of tissue paper, and it's not that expensive, kind of thing. And there's gift wrap paper, you know, that's metallics. So there are so many options that you have on here. I'm looking for about 5, and that's a little flexible depending on how much time we have and how detailed your design is, stuff like that. And if you come here, I'd like you to come twice, and just do like 2 Chine-Colles one night and like 2 or 3 Chine-Colles the next night, kind of thing. And you can have all that prepped, like you can have all your paper cut, and come here to just use the press. I guess at that point, if you have 5 set up and you want to get it done in one night, that's fine. Just kind of schedule that with me a little bit, just because I can't have every virtual student here, because then that gets to be quite a few people in the room at once, and we only have one press, and we got to socially distance as best we can. So there are many examples online that I just grabbed a handful here for you to understand what that part is. So you make the choice if you want to come in. If you don't want to do that and you want to do the color reduction, that's also something that's possible. That you might have to come in like 3 times to do that, to do 3 separate prints. And we just kind of go from there. If you don't want to come in at all, that is perfectly fine. It will not affect your grade, as long as you got to make sure you're like kind of focus on getting as thick line as you can on that. So hopefully I explained that good enough on everything. There's a lot of things with this. I'm trying to be flexible with you. So just if you have an idea or thought or concern, just let me know. Okay. Thank you for your time.